How did you get into mountain guiding? Like, how did you start that as your profession?
Mountain guiding, it's definitely not something I ever thought I would get into.
Okay.
You didn't go to school counseling meetings and say, well, you can be a lawyer or a doctor or a mountain guide.
Yeah.
But when I was in college, I got into a program. It was a rec program that did some guiding, a lot like an Outward Bound kind of model.
Okay.
But it had a really interesting setup because we operate in Joshua Tree National Park.
Yeah.
We had to have certified guides on staff.
Okay.
So right out the gates, I was 18 years old and I was being mentored by certified guides.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that showed me, this is a real profession. You can actually do this. And then the levels just kind of kept going from there. And I got very distracted from thinking I wanted to be a marine biologist. And ended up
a little bit of a different, right? Mountains or
a little different.
Yeah, sea level. No, that's really funny. And I think kind of the way you said that is kind of how I've approached it too. Is mountain guiding's a profession? Like you can do that for a living? Like that's pretty awesome. So how long have you been guiding? Like how long have you been doing this profession?
So it started slow, so it was super part-time, and then I got out of college. My first gig was a field biology gig.
Okay.
And then I quickly decided, either I'm going to go back for my master's or I'm going to try this mountain guiding thing.
Yeah.
Got my first full-time job in the summer.
Okay.
And then that led to, piecing things together with other seasonal work and eventually pulling off year-round guiding, getting certified as a rock guide. And
oh, that's awesome.
it makes sense.
So how long have you been doing this with Mountain Madness? How long have you been climbing with them?
Mountain Madness, I came up in 2013.
Okay.
So this is my fifth
year now? Yeah, time flies, doesn't it? Yeah.
Super fast.
How what makes you keep coming back to Mountain Madness, to climb with them and guide for them?
Yeah, it's definitely been my favorite company to work for. I've worked for a lot of companies through the years.
Yeah.
Came up through California. I was working as a climbing guide in Yosemite, which as a rock climber, that's my favorite thing. You'd think why would you ever leave? But I really like the diversity.
Okay.
And that keeps things fresh.
What's one of your biggest climbs you've done?
Biggest climbs. One of the Madness trips that I really enjoy is the Elbrus expedition in Russia.
Yeah.
So that's a cool one. It's a great program, very different. It's kind of a travel adventure with some athleticism.
Yeah, I think that's a cool way. I think that's what I like about mountain climbing. There's a way to actually travel that's involved with it too. Get out of your atmosphere and indulge in the culture as well, but also enjoy being on top of a mountain.
Exactly right.
What do you do on your days off? So when you're on a mountain and you're climbing year-round now, this is for your profession, what do you do on your days off? Do you relax or do you still climb, or what is it that you do?
Yeah, it's a good question. Early on in my career, I think I struggled to make sure that I had adequate rest and to restore motivation for my own projects as well. And obviously got into guiding because I loved being outside. I loved climbing and skiing and all the mountain sports.
Yeah.
So it was a logical progression. And throughout my career, I've kind of gone around and picked up that enthusiasm again just by restoring, like you're saying, the other sides of things. So I live on a farm. I live on an island. So if I need rest, I have a really restful home to go to. But most of the time, I'm off. On road trips. I just got back from Montana for an ice climbing trip.
Oh wow! So you're still getting out there.
Still do a lot of So it's a lot of climbing, and then when I'm home, I like to go to my favorite local crags or go skiing for the day, and then focus on my own training program.
So you rest 3 hours a day, basically. No, I'm kidding.
Maybe.
Maybe if that. So another question I wanted to ask you is, I know if you do this big climbs like Elbrus, it's probably people that are experienced, and so you still have to coach them through the climb. But what about first climbers? I guess what's something that you really enjoy about first climbers? I know it's a little probably harder of a guiding and coaching job from your standpoint, but what do you enjoy about first climbers?
I think really that's why I got into guiding at the root of it.
Yeah.
It's not just because it was a cool way to be outside and do rad things, and but really it was because I realized my own experience had been in the mountains and what I'd gained from it and the connections I'd made with friends throughout all of my career, and I realized that I could facilitate that for someone else, and it could be their own experience, whatever they want it to be, and I was just there to provide the technical expertise, and that's been really rewarding. And now later in my career, I'm going back and getting into coaching actually, so kind of educating myself as a trainer.
And that's awesome, because I'm going to use the word impossible, but you kind of help people achieve the impossible. And the reason I use that word is because when people think of mountain climbing, it's one of those activities I feel that they see it and they're like, I can never do that, or that's impossible. I can never stand on top of a mountain. And I think because of you all, people get to experience that, and they get to stand on top of a mountain and feel the wind blowing in their hair, like, oh my gosh, how I just conquered the world is what it feels like. And I remember a few years ago, my first climb, that's how I felt. And I'm so grateful that I got to experience that. I think it's one of the best things somebody could experience. So I see what you're saying. It's almost addicting,
Totally. It's rewarding.
You probably enjoy seeing people's their first time making it. It probably kind of helps you feel that again too.
Oh,
because-
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's fun to see people then inspired to go back, and if they have a hard time or they have a great experience, to just be like, oh, like, well, if I'm going to do this again, maybe I'm going to go back and train harder.
Yeah.
And that's certainly something I think you can relate to.
What do you feel is the most important piece of equipment that people should research and like really have for their climbs if they're a first timer?
Totally, it's a great question, and it's can be a very personal question as well. Like, whatever, I would say my favorite item is probably my thermos because I love having hot tea and soup. You know, like something. But in terms of
hot coffee,
that's my comfort.
Yes, for sure.
So I love that. But in terms of most important, I think in the length of my career, the biggest shutdown I've had was from a poorly fitting pack.
Okay.
So having the right backpack, practicing with it, making sure you get the fit right. You know, if you get a bad backpack, even if it's a good backpack someone recommends to you, and this was, but it didn't fit me right, it didn't carry right, and it messed up my neck.
Oh wow.
So that took some time to kind of deconstruct and repair, and bodies are infinitely repairable.
Yeah.
But that's a bummer.
Yeah, that's a huge bummer.
Prevent
Especially
that.
when that's your profession, that's what you do. You
Exactly
know,
right.
it's kind of hard to afford to miss time.
You don't want to have to take time off for stupid things like
And
that.
so when that happened, didn't you like take the time to actually write something about it just so that people were properly prepared? Like, didn't
Totally.
you?
Yeah. So my other tangential career is I work as a writer. I write gear reviews.
Yeah.
And this year I wrote the Mountaineering Backpack Review, and actually worked with a colleague who's a physical therapist to talk about how to properly fit it. So,
Okay. Do you have your own like blog or your own like? It's
all on Outdoor Gear Lab.
It's all on Outdoor Gear Lab. Okay, so Outdoor Gear Lab.
.com.
Yep, .com. And she writes a lot of reviews for them. So I know as me as first timer, I was kind of clueless, so I Googled a lot of things. But having like reviews like that from people that do this for a living is the stuff you should really be reading, not just Googling people that do this for fun, right? So because again, from experience, she knows what bag to use. So, all right, well, thank you very much.